Today we have Joe Flanagan. I met Joe through Connor Brady. Connor
Yes.
Brady touts Joe Flanagan's Ingenious Probiotics, which I love the name. I think it's so ingenious,
Genius. Yeah.
so smart. And Joe and I got to chat at Dr. Judy Morgan's live event. We got to hang out a little bit, and I did a little clip, a little Facebook live with you guys with Joe describing his products. Joe is storming the holistic pet space with his topical probiotic applications, and he has now partnered with VDI Labs for the United States market, which is really exciting. And Joe, you stumbled onto the pet space. You were in the industrial space. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. Industrial, commercial. So we were doing a lot of what we call health and wellness in the built environment, which is a fancy smancy way of just saying keeping people warm enough, keeping them cool enough, keeping them ventilated so they don't go to sleep inside buildings, whether that's doesn't matter what it is, something that has been built. Could be a train carriage, could be your office, could be your home, could be restaurant, whatever. So, and that led us into the health and wellness side of it. Really grabbed our attention. And just over 20 years ago, we started getting more involved in air quality. So we were really intrigued in what people were breathing in, what was in what people breathe in. So that's the background that we ended up, obviously, with pets. It's a no-brainer, right? You just go from, offices and restaurants and deluxe residential into pets. Now, there was a segue, and it's something that's really close to my heart was understanding that my role at that time in what you Americans would call HVAC. So we
HVAC.
were designing systems and we were bringing in special equipment from North America to try and avoid drafts, which was a big thing. Um, it was a big thing in Europe before it was a big thing in America because of the different kinds of systems we use. I won't bore you. But so we were trying to get away from stratification, cold toes, warm nose, and the guys we were dealing with introduced us to this air purification module. And now this was happening in and around the time when we were aware of the laws, let's call it that, um, for ventilation. So you can imagine some guy biking his way into some office in London or whatever, and then he gets into what should be a safe haven in terms of the quality of the air he's breathing. But instead, the law says we have to take X amount of air from outside and, chase him into the building with it and deliver it. That's the law. So we were kind of struggling with this. Well, I was. I couldn't find anybody else to take up the mantle on it. And so we found this air purification module. We could start taking out chemicals and all kinds of stuff and particulate matter. We got more and more involved in what people breathe in terms of like understanding just how much we breathe in and what's in it. And this got accelerated for me. I read a report in a newspaper here, and even if the newspaper was exaggerating things, and even if the death toll in Europe wasn't twice what the estimates were, let's say it only was what the estimates were, fine. But that was about 400,000 people dying each year from what they reckoned would be airborne related issues and pollution and
Indoor air pollution.
just air quality per se. Now,
So I've never been to the UK. Is your is your outdoor air quality poor? No. Wow.
it's the same. It's the same as, okay, it may not be quite as good as Lake Tahoe, but it's still,
Right.
it's generally speaking, and you go into Europe and you don't take a breath in the middle of Europe and go, oh my God. It's just, no, look, this is insidious. This is all around us. This is what we're dealing with. So
Well,
we
I grew up in Los Angeles, and I used to say I never trusted any air I couldn't see because it was so disgustingly smoggy there,
yeah, yeah,
and we
yeah.
all just lived like that. It's until introduced unleaded gas, but up to leaded gas, we couldn't even see the mountain range, which was 5 miles from us.
Wow.
It was so disgusting.
I think there's been a lot of things, a lot of initiatives over here. Um, and people can talk about the pros and cons of electric cars and so on and so forth, but there's a lot of initiatives which are helping cleaning the air up. But we live indoors most of the time. We're living 90% of our time indoors. And I know there's a lot of people involved in dog walking. We go, no, I don't. I'm out. But as a population, so we were looking at this where people were living most of the time inside a building, work, sleep at home, whatever. So when you talk about air quality and you think, well, if I spend most of my time indoors, what else is going on indoors? You know, okay, there could be some factory miles away belching smoke and it's coming down in rain. Nothing I can do about that. But what's actually going on indoors? So we were becoming more and more aware of the chemicals inside and the part that they were playing on health generally. So all of this was happening. We were doing air purification and we came across this thing called probiotics. And there was a company doing probiotics, and we liked this because we could put it into the HVAC systems. Our goal wasn't to introduce probiotics to people as such. Our goal at that point, our number one target, was to reduce the amount of times people would reach for what they call air fresheners. Sorry, I hate doing that, but what else can you do?
Yeah, no, it's livid. And people here in the US, I don't know about you, but they think Febreze is totally safe because it really doesn't have much of a fragrance and it's not.
Yeah, it's fantastic marketing to make people think that a smell represents cleanliness when in fact clean, there we go again, clean doesn't have a smell, you know. And if you're outdoors, so if you're living in a wooded area, then clean is going to smell like pine trees around you. But if you're living in the city, clean shouldn't smell like pine trees because there's no pine trees around you. So something's so we that was the number one thing. Let's stop people reaching for we're taking these chemicals, we're using catalytic converters and all kinds of stuff to remove chemicals and break them down and uh, really clever stuff. And then people come along and go, fuff, fuff, fuff.
Oh,
Hang on. So this is what we were getting at, putting probiotics in there. Now, the idea here is that we'll come on to this in a second, but the probiotics are going to stop the odor happening in the first place. So how they do that is that they're actually eating the organic waste. So that organic waste matter. And look, for the germaphobes, I'm sure there's nobody who loves a dog who's actually a germaphobe because you can't be. But for the germaphobes amongst us, I'm sorry, we're just living in a microbial soup with dead skin cells and mite poop and whatever. It's natural and our bodies are fine with it. Okay. So this is where the smells would be coming from, generally speaking, biological smells. So if we use probiotics to do two things, and this is really important because when we start talking about ear health for dogs, it's going to be the same procedure, same protocol. So if we eat the organic waste matter, then we're doing a cleansing action and we're getting into like down the back of the chair and in the carpet and whatever. And we're getting in there and the probiotics are eating the organic waste matter. More about that in a second. The other thing they're doing by doing that is that they're outcompeting the bacteria that would also be causing the smells. So all we wanted to do was not introduce a smell, but just stop the bad smell happening. So people wouldn't reach for those um, brand X, smelly things that they had been marketed and trained to associate it with
right.
health and wellness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so that's where we started. So fine, doing that, great. And then we see that the next thing on the list is cleaning chemicals. So then we do a deeper dive into that particular white rabbit hole. And we're looking at the percentage of cancer, well, basically cancer rates amongst cleaning operatives. Because you're looking where the hard numbers might be, where you can get a hold of something. And we were looking at that and going, well, hang on a minute, if you're 57% more likely to get lung cancer as a cleaner, surely this is, remember my background is what people breathe in and so on. And I'm looking at this going, hang on a minute, I'm joining this dot with this dot. I'm going,
So,
this.
Joe, you just said 50%
You,
for
it was,
professional cleaners.
yeah, in a 10-year study, so studying people who had 10 years experience as cleaners in Europe, excluding smokers, they found that there were 57 point something or other percent more likely to develop lung cancer. Other
That's
things are in there as well.
crazy. This is why I never clean my house. I'm joking.
Now, well, I was going to jump right in there beside you, but yeah, I'd be joking too. Yeah, well, I use probiotics, you see. So this was next on the list to be able to say, look, we can remove these chemicals at their at source, as well as actually taking chemicals out of the air. We can stop them going in the first place. Now, there's certain chemicals that are more difficult to get rid of. The thing that stops your furniture from bursting into flames if you drop a candle on it or whatever, difficult to get rid of it out of your life quickly. So this was really low hanging fruit, lots of chemicals, easy to remove.
Wow.
So we thought this is going to be great. Who would in their right mind wouldn't use this if they're using a lot of chemicals? It turned out most of the cleaning world didn't want to know about this. That was a lot of fun. Um, so in amongst we're still answering. We haven't even got to the first question, Poppy. So we're still in the how the hell do we get up doing this thing with pets? So we see a connection with pet health because the manufacturer in the lab, they already had these direct pet application products as well, which we weren't that familiar with. So we're thinking again, join dot to dot to dot, and started contacting veterinarian practices, and this is where we started learning about the mm, choosing words carefully, but the wide variation in the veterinary industry, and understanding about corporates and how one veterinary would jump all over what we're doing, thinking this is magnificent, and somebody else would go not give it time of day. That doesn't make sense. But that's okay. So we found that out and started talking to a particular vet in particular who became a really good friend, Richard Doyle, who works with Conor Brady. Actually, they do caves with Dr. Vicky Adams as well. So Richard turned out to be like probably the best vet in the UK I could have spoken to. This is a guy who you can put your dog on a total wellness plan with his practice. It's about 20 vets, independent. Um, and if the dog is on the right diet and you bring it to them before the age of 2, you can go on this total wellness package, which means that they will then not charge you for anything. Apart maybe if the dog gets hit by a car or something. But now the vet makes more money when the dog is well rather than when the dog is sick. Brilliant.
Right.
And obviously for them, the it's a species appropriate raw diet is what the dog should be on, of course. Um,
That's amazing. What a great way to start your dogs off.
well, I'm talking about putting your money where your mouth is, and they're thriving as a business. They're thriving, you know.
That's
So
fantastic.
yeah, we learned a lot from those. So one day, this lady turned up at our office, and there was no sign on the doors. I don't know how she found us. Knock, 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 and we opened the door, and there's this lady standing with 2 dogs, going, "Do you do the cleaning products?" Yeah. My vet sent me. Okay. So sort of, this then introduces us to the whole crazy idea that dogs have itchy skin. Hang on a minute. What are you talking about? Now, I'm a cat guy, but my grandparents were dog people. Their dogs didn't have itchy skin in the 70s. What's all this about?
I know,
So
right?
I so then we're kind of layer upon layer finding out and going, this is nuts. Anyway, so now we're in the pet space because we start talking to people, just generally, chatting, and then people are knocking our door saying, can you come and talk to our group and whatever. So this whole thing we're doing with probiotics, we're also using on the dog's skin, the dog's teeth, dog's ears, cats, horses, whatever. But this was how we went from looking after people or trying to be mindful of people's health and wellness to saying not that people don't matter, but no, just that that we were finding that the pet owners with these amazing group of people. So where we were saying to certain industries, look, would before we talk about the effect on the planet of what you're putting down the sink and what you're putting down the drains, before we even go there, let's just talk about your employees and these and the health and wellness. Like before, this makes financial sense, makes sense and everything. But of course, that's a very difficult thing to do. Genuinely, that's a difficult jump to make because, well, you've changed things to what was going on before, you know? So that's always a very difficult thing. You know, you're selling us chemicals for 60 years and it caused all these problems, but now you're going, hey, there's no problem, but we fixed the problem, but there's no problem. So it's a very difficult to, okay, we get that. In the meantime, these wonderful pet parents and people looking after, both the pet guardian and even more importantly, the people who are helping pet guardians. They're like, yeah, we're changing. So these are like the beachhead, these are the arrowhead, these are the guys going, hang on a second. Do you think my dog's itchy skin on his tummy could be connected to what he's lying on the kitchen floor with what we cleaned the other day? Well, yeah, it's proven. Okay, let's let's change. And it was fantastic. So we kind of then sort of did exit stage left because these wonderful pet people were saying, "Come, we want you to talk to us. We are open. We're listening. We love all this." And then we started learning about, the fact that repeat ear infections in dogs in particular, dog skin issues, cats' teeth issues, sweet itch in horses. And we're going, whoa, whoa, whoa. We can do something with this. And then we started doing it and we get happy people and more happy people and then the phones go. So it develops like that and we're just getting more and more excited because the pet parents, the pet guardians, just this wonderful group. So much as I love animals, I've figured out when I was doing a talk actually at Caroline Griffith's Natural Dog Expo, it struck me that much as I love animals, I love even more the people who love animals and the
Oh,
people who set their business up and make it their life thing to help other people look after their animals. I mean, this is like when you stop and think, this is off the scale. And the world needs a bit more of this right now. Thank you very much. So
yeah,
it's
I
just
love
been this
that.
wonderful slide into just a lovely, lovely place. So that's anyway, that's
That's
question
your
me.
introduction in a nutshell. So Joe,
Don't worry.
I want to clarify for the audience that you're actually using probiotics everywhere. Like you're using it as a cleaning source. So as opposed to an antibiotic or an antimicrobial, you're actually replacing the beneficial bacteria and not destroying it. But I didn't realize that it actually ate chemicals, toxic
Well,
chemicals.
yeah, I mean, mostly what we're doing in the home environment, we're eating the organic waste matter and replacing chemicals. But put a pin on that because we've done some fantastic work over on your East Coast with using probiotics in wastewater and removing chemicals. I'm under NDA for just how good those results were, so I've got to be careful. But we're using probiotics to actually take pollutant chemicals out of wastewater before it ends up back in your rivers.
Wow.
So it's phenomenal. It's amazing. So,
I'm so impressed.
oh well, it's just been it's like how many uses have we got for this? This is just amazing. So there's multiple facets here. So number one, we're going to reduce chemical exposure. So let's have less skin issues and let's have less whatever illness you want to name that's associated with a chemical. Let's reduce the chemicals and therefore have a knock-on effect on the numbers. And so doing that, we're improving conditions. We're not a medicine, we're not vets. We doff our cap to you guys and the Connors and Vicky Adams and like I just mentioned and Richard Doyle and all those wonderful guys. So we got to be careful about the claims we make, but this is phenomenal. So we're improving hygiene, we're cleansing, we're reducing. antimicrobial resistance. So let's circle back to that and reducing the amount of chemicals people are exposed to. And that's a big one for me. You know, um, cancer is just bloody everywhere. And sorry, I don't mean to swear there, but it's so annoying. And but the thing that's set to overtake it as the number one killer is actually antimicrobial resistance. And
Exactly.
antimicrobial resistance comes from two places. It comes from obviously the overuse of antibiotics.
Right.
So, and it comes from antimicrobial cleaning. So, take the second one first, antimicrobial cleaning. So, what can happen is you're cleaning. I've got a whole presentation by the way, but we probably won't need it at this rate.
Yeah, well,
So,
you can hit that if you want. My members would love it, I'm sure.
oh,
We're
it's
happy
your
to be here. We're happy that you're
yeah.
here, and this is so fascinating. There's so many dogs that suffer and children that suffer from skin issues, and they've cleaned up their diet, they've done their sensitivity testing and all of that, and it's not resolving still.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm so intrigued, and I just want to try your products out on some clients' dogs because they're like, we've done everything, we've tried everything. And I keep saying, well, your indoor air pollution. Like, I have one gal that loves Lysol, and I'm like, you can't keep doing Lysol around your
Mm.
dog. She's like, well, what do I use then? I'm like, just vinegar and water and baking soda. But this is actually a much more beneficial approach, right?
Yeah, yeah, because the probiotics will act like a defensive, um, we used to call them a defensive army, but these days they're trying to not use the word army because, again, the world needs a bit more of calming
A
down, I
little
think.
more love,
A
a
little
little
more,
more
yeah,
soothe. It soothes
a little more
everything.
sooth. So I'll use the analysis, and I'm trying to think of an American sports team. So I don't know. So let's say the Super Bowl's out there and the Kansas City Chiefs are playing, and let's say they're playing the 49ers,
Okay,
your
we're good.
area, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I'm not a big sports
Okay.
buff.
So okay. So if one team has got the best team, right? And the best players, their best, and they're on the pitch, but the other team have got 1,000 guys on the pitch. And those 1,000 guys are even like they're just on their phones or whatever. They're not doing much. But the other team, with the best players in the country, can't physically move. They can't do their thing. So that's a little bit like when you put the probiotics on the surface, you put good bacteria in good numbers. And in some cases, the good bacteria, they're not actually doing that much. They're just being, okay? But in other cases, they'll carry the ball and they hand the ball to one guy, to the other guy, to the other guy, to the other guy. And maybe that breaks some rule in American football. So maybe it's not a good analogy. But
Don't worry
they
about it.
good. So they'll do a job, but they'll block number one, they're blocking the other guys. But you can imagine where the surface is covered with these probiotics now. They're offering a defensive army. So when your bad bacteria lands on that surface, it's got no room, it's got no space, it can't thrive, and it just kind of fades away. So it's what you were saying. Rather than approach whether it's the same, whether it's a dog's skin with an antibacterial shampoo, a dog's ear, my teeth, the surface, your kitchen floor, whatever, it's the same. If you wipe out that the microbiome, then start your watch. I haven't got a watch on, right? Start your watch and time it. How quickly is that surface covered by bacteria again? Now, you're going to be talking in terms of minutes, not hours. Um, it's going to be uncontrolled because we don't know. It could be all right, or it could be bad bacteria. It could be worse than what it was before. And we did a test over in Belgium with a dentistry and swabbed the area, whatever. And then COVID came along, and they were doing a lot more cleaning, right? So you think it's going to be much more hygienic because we're doing a lot more cleaning,
But they're
antibacterial cleaning.
using antibacterial or
Right.
antimicrobial
Yeah.
cleaning. Okay.
So when we looked at the results and put them into a bar graph, so if this was your bar graph with all the different bacteria in on the surface in the first time around, then during the increased cleaning, the number of bacteria had reduced, okay? But within that bar graph, there was 2.5 times more streptococcus than there was the first time around. So is
That's
that more
terrifying.
hygienic or less hygienic? I tell you, if you're lying there with your mouth open and you got more streptococcus, it is more dangerous. Everything's going to look shinier, and you can rubber stamp and say, yes, this was clean, da 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 da. But it's this wiping out the microbiome. Now, listen, forget about the pres I'm going in different directions here. But if you apply that then to a dog's ear, and you say, okay, the analogy of your kitchen table and a dog's ear. In the kitchen table, you're using antibacterial. Okay, what's happening there? Well, some of the bacteria can become resistant. So the
One
strong,
and some is yeast, so it's not even appropriate.
yeah, yeah, and you're
Like,
wiping all that.
I don't know, like in the US, a lot of vets just guess. Like they
Mhm.
don't necessarily culture much, they just hand you
Yeah.
a medication. So a pill for every ill.
There's one diagnostic company over here I know that will maybe VDI do it as well. They you can swab the ear and they'll send and tell you because we get people ring us up and say, "What have you got? My dog's got an ear infection." You go, "Oh, is it bacterial or yeast?" Just infection. Okay, all right, okay.
Right.
So that's what the vet told them. So okay, um, but you're right. If we're wiping that out and it wasn't, and this is what can happen sometimes. You've got a yeast issue. You wipe the microbiome out with some whatever that wipes out everything, and now what happens is you've wiped out the microbiome on the ear, just like you did on the kitchen table. And again, set your watch. How quickly is that ear repopulated? Not only that. When we started dealing with the vet Richard Doyle, he would got quite excited because he had had this repeat ear infection situation so many times, and he said they'd already figured out before we came along, they'd already figured out that the microbiome of the ear was being wiped out by the antibiotics. Now look, antibiotics, great invention. Sometimes they're going to be a lifesaver, I think, right? Brilliant. But let's see if we can reduce the times when they're really needed. Let's see if we can find just something else. So he got excited. He said, we know because we see it. Infection in the ear, dog presents, antibiotics, 2 week course, whatever. And then a couple of weeks later, the dog's presenting back again. So we culture it, we send it to the lab, and lo and behold, it's not the same bacterial pathogen coming back. It's a
Oh.
different pathogen. And this is the crux that he was getting. And this would happen repeat. In one dog, this was happening over 7 years.
Oh,
Yeah. So
seven
often,
years. That's
yeah,
insanity. What a
yeah,
miserable existence for
yeah.
everyone.
Yeah. So he was using the probiotics and getting great results. Now, I remember when we moved into an office one time and the office manager where we were popped to say hello and she saw the products on my desk and she said, oh my God, this is great. My dog, my Newfie, was just about to have his total inner ear ablation, went to this other vet up the road, turned out to be our the guy who knew us. And not only does he not have to have the surgery, not only is he not going to be deaf for the rest of his life in one ear, he stopped the repeat ear infections. So we'd had this mentioned to us a couple of times. So instead, and this is the analogy, this is the crux of it. Instead of trying to kill everything, wipe out everything, fight against everything, because when you fight against Mother Nature, she's pretty clever, and she'll get round, get over, get under. She'll beat you every
Evolution.
time.
It's evolution.
Yeah. So that's why we're getting antimicrobial resistance, which is said to be the biggest killer in the world by 2030. If we don't do something, it's going to overtake cancer. That's quite a concern. So if we can reduce the amount of times that, in this case, a dog, in this case, a dog's ear, if we can reduce the amount of times where the antibiotics are required, and sometimes they are required, then when they're really needed, they're going to have more efficacy. They're going to work better. It's going to be safer. So this was what had us jumping up and down and going, "Oh my God, do you realize what we're saying here, guys?" kind of thing. So that's what then you can imagine our whole life turning around and going, you know, we let's talk about dog's ears and then let's talk about teeth because actually that's our number one selling product. And we find out about dental health. I remember um, uh, I think Dr. Katie Kanga said I saw her on a presentation years ago and I was blown up because again we thought we were the only ones who knew about this problem. Now we're finding out about this whole pet world, these pet problems, and these holistic ways of looking after the animals, and this whole beautiful thing going on. It was just blew us away. So we then found out just how important the dental hygiene is, and the various different ailments and illnesses that can be affected. That now I'm a cat guy, if you like, because we've just traditionally had cats, and they're so annoying because unlike dogs, they're not sitting there. You're trying to watch a movie and the dog's panting in your face, right? You don't get that with cats. If you don't go looking, you won't know there's a dental problem until such time as they present with a problem.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So when I was picking my cat up during COVID from the vet, and the vet's after my cat had 11 teeth out, and the vet is saying, "Do you know, we have a spray for this."
And it was your spray.
No, yeah, and immediately I started going like, "Oh well, how don't you know who I am? I sell that," and then I thought, "Oh, you idiot! That's a product you should be using all the time." If I'd have done that in my own cat, then it would have been a lot cheaper, and he wouldn't have had 11 teeth out, bless him. But he's still with us. He's 16 and a half now, nearly 17. Um,
So, how do you use that? Do you spray it directly in the mouth? Okay.
yeah,
Do you use it on
literally,
yourself?
yes, but I'm not supposed to because we're not licensed to sell to humans. So I didn't
Okay.
say that. But yeah, I use it every day. I use it every day, every morning, every evening. I
Do
don't
you
use it.
actually brush it in,
Yeah,
like let's say, when you do dogs and cats, do you actually like put it on a gauze pad or do you just like sit on there and let it do its job?
whatever works. So for me personally, what I do myself is I dry brush just to get rid of whatever, and then I spray. On the cats, I just spray. When the cats are kind of come over from behind, just squeeze him a little bit, and he'll open and just spray it in. He doesn't love it, but now he's kind of like, yeah, okay, he's fine. When it comes to dogs, you just need to just lift the lips. You don't need to have them like open wide. Just lift the lips. And we tend to say a couple of sprays either side twice a day and then monitor from there. You should be able to step down.
So twice a day for addressing a certain concern, but in a maintenance situation, how often?
I would say to be safe daily, but if everything's good and you're happy with where you are, then every other day you should be fine. So when it comes to probiotics, because what probiotic products, that one is a prophylactic. When we come to like skin conditions and so on, then you stop using the product when the problem goes away. Whether it's dermatitis or a hot spot or a post-op wound care. But with the dental, yeah, I would keep that up because now what we're doing is we're changing the whole microbiome of the mouth so that the saliva will move it around where you want it to go. And just like in the ear, just like in your kitchen table, when the probiotics bump into something that they recognize as food, so a molecule of food, dry, whatever it is, raw meat, whatever. When they bump into that, they will recognize it and they will then release an enzyme. And the enzyme is like a knife and fork. So the enzyme will break it up and then the probiotic can get rid of it. And the probiotic will keep doing that in like a 3-day cycle. If the same probiotic bumps into something else that it still recognizes as food, it can produce a different enzyme that it thinks is better fit for that job.
Wow.
So when you have a combination, getting the right combination of probiotics in sort of any one given product, they're going to work in conjunction with each other. So each one of those multiple probiotics can each produce different enzymes. So that's how you're breaking down the organic waste. When it comes to teeth, that's how you're getting in there, a bit like flossing. You're getting in there and cleansing. So
So
anywhere
I
bad,
love I love the word probiotic because it means for life,
yeah,
right? It's beneficial for life. Whereas
yeah,
antibiotic is killing.
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
And so it actually has an enzymatic, like it partners with enzymes, it breaks things down and rejuvenates the life, or the appropriate balance.
yeah, yeah. You're right. Number one, it's a pro approach, and I love that rather than an anti approach. So your mindset is very different, and it's an almost an analogy for your life. Just put lots more of the good stuff in. Don't worry about the bad stuff.
Can
Pretty
you
much.
overdo it, Joe?
No, you can't overdo it because if there's too many probiotics, they'll just stay dormant. So
Okay.
if you have probiotics bumping into probiotics, then they'll just do nothing. They'll just be there. It's only when they bump into food and then they're out in the environment, they've got oxygen, they've got food. Now they go from a spore form, so like grass seeds, if you like, from a spore form into a vegetative form, and then kind of run through a 3-day life cycle. In some cases, they can go back into the spores. But so if you put too many probiotics in one place, then all that's going to happen is they're going to be there and not do anything. So if you were overusing the product, the only bad thing is you'd be wasting money, but you're not going to have like an overdose issue like you would have with a pharmaceutical or a medicine. So yeah,
Can we go back
they're just
to cleaning, like cleaning the environment? Like
mm.
I have hardwood floors and I always get worried about putting products on my hardwood floor. Can you safely clean all surfaces with probiotics?
Yes. The only thing I'd say is if when it comes to hardwood, most of them will have a surface. They won't be porous because if you're going to use a product that's in water, and you're going to wet the wood and the wood's going to absorb the wet, then just use common sense around that. But most of those wooden floors would have um
A
they would have some
sealant,
protective
like
layer,
a, yeah.
like a laminate something like that, like a laminate kind of or gloss or so yeah, absolutely fine because again there's no chemicals. Okay, strictly speaking, pure water is still a chemical. But when we say chemicals, we tend to mean harsh, damaging, hurtful chemicals, right? So harsh chemicals. So there's no chemicals in there. It's just this natural thing that's going on, and it's going on everywhere because we're what 30 trillion microorganisms on me, in me, and slightly around me. Same for you. Maybe less for your dog, pro rata in size. So all we're doing here is saying, look, your floor is going to be covered in bacteria. Fine, most of the time, but we're just going to choose which bacteria. So
Got it.
we're going to take hold of that
And
microbiome.
these are bacterial probiotics and yeast-based probiotics or just bacterial?
Bacterial. So for
Okay.
us, yeah. So you're right. Probiotic is a wide term, and it just means like a microorganism that confers a benefit. But for us, it's bacteria and how the bacteria works, how it cleanses, and how it does the job. When you talk about cleaning your floor, the product also has to have an actual like soap element, what we call a surfactant. So that comes from coconut sugar. So that's nice and natural too.
Yeah.
But it's the probiotics that do the actual heavy duty cleansing. So yeah, it's same on teeth as it is in the kitchen floor. So it's quite difficult to talk about dog's teeth without talking about the kitchen floor as well, which kind of gets a bit confusing.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's so exciting. So the skin aspect, how many dogs have skin problems? How many
Mm.
dogs have ear problems? They seem to go hand in hand. So I interviewed Carrie Hyde, who has a holistic grooming situation in Orange County, and she is just like, I don't clean ears. I don't want to clean ears. I don't want to ruin their microbiome because once you get in this cycle, it's vicious. But this breaks that vicious cleaning cleaning regression cycle. And then
Definitely.
on the skin, you just spray it on the skin. Is there anything it doesn't work on? Like, can you use it for allergies and yeast and hot spots, flea bites, whatever? And what else?
Yes, there is if it's bacteria related or if it's bioallergen related, then we're going to do really well. If it's yeast, Sometimes we if it's low level, yeah, we've been able to sort of get that balance back in, but we don't make that claim. We say, look, if it's yeast, obviously they're looking at the diet before um, but you might be looking at something like Conus proprithium, for example. But whatever you use, then the probiotics become an important second step because remember, if you wipe that microbiome out to get rid of a yeast overgrowth, then you can be this understeer, oversteer, understeer, over, as you mentioned earlier, kind of thing. So using something like that, but then repopulating the microbiome with the probiotics, that's key because what you don't want to do is set up a situation where you've taken the microbiome away, and what comes back isn't isn't great. The
Right.
areas we tend to get most involved with is something like atopic dermatitis, and we also get involved when the skin is broken, but just leave that to one side for a second. So atopic dermatitis, it's just, the bad bacteria is getting in under the skin. Well, why is it getting in under the skin? Why, the skin's supposed to do more than just keep the rain out, right? But why is it? That's another thing. So, but if it's getting under it, what we're able to do is replace it with good bacteria. Again, we're removing those bioallergens, the dust mite, poop, the pollens, the dead skin cells, whatever. And we're outcompeting the bad bacteria and just allowing the skin to repair itself. So we get really good results with that. We get really good results when the skin is broken. There's a slightly different product in the range called Dermocare. Oh, sorry, by the way, when you're dealing with skin issues, it's really important we also spray over the bedding.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you?
yeah, yeah. Change.
And what about like staph infections?
Well, yeah, again, we're not in medicine. He says
Right.
before he answers the question in the affirmative. Yeah, but look, the staph infection is it's just another, you know,
Bacteria.
just another bacteria, bad bacteria, wrong place, wrong time. Now, for most of us, we have staph, but we don't have staph infection. Now,
Right.
whether that's to do with balances or whatever, or whether it's to do with sometimes, like say, a bacteria that's okay in one place in your body gets into another place in your body, and it's all of a sudden it's a problem. But we just outcompete all those. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a resistant form of staph. We're, we're still going to
Right.
just eat all its food, and you're back to an analogy where the 49ers have 1,000 guys on the pitch, and the Kansas City Chiefs can't run. So that's that's does it pretty much doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Um, but we got to be really careful because obviously that's making, claims that we don't feel we need to make.
Right.
But yeah, any kind of issues with the skin. The only thing is if it's yeast, if it's deep, if it's a real yeast infection, and you're looking at the diet, you may need something else to get rid of the yeast first. But it's really important then follow up the probiotics to repopulate that microbiome with something that we know is safe to use.
I've had dogs with yeast infections that seem to have epic diets. Like they have removed all yeast forming as far as we know.
Mhm.
Sometimes it can be a second generation allergen where it's actually what the animal is eating is causing the inflammation in the yeast. But I've noticed that certain laundry products cause yeast too. So going through people's assessments and going, well, let's remove your commercial conventional laundry detergent. And they're like, why? And this is the primary reason. And
We
that
we
is just on, they're like, well, it's just on my bed or it's just on the towels or whatever. And I'm like, it's still causing
yeah, yeah.
issues.
And one of the things when we say that, one of the things people sometimes reply with is, "Well, I haven't changed anything." And you're like, "Yeah, you've been introducing the same toxins year upon year upon year, and at some point something's got to give."
It
You know?
hit a level
Yeah.
and
So
yeah,
you've got the chemical element to that, and you've got studies from again your own East Coast, there, New York State, I think it was, back in 2008, where they were looking at the levels of chemicals in blood and urine of pets versus their owner, and all the pets had more chemicals in their blood and urine than the owners, both living in the same environment, but the pets are closer to the floor, they're closer to to the carpet or the kitchen floor, whatever's been. So you've got the chemical intake. You've also got the antimicrobial element of the kitchen floor cleaner, and the dog is sweating. Sometimes we get sent pictures of, you know, particularly with dogs, like the nether regions, the genitalia, and it almost looks like chemical burns, male and female dogs. They're coming in, they're a bit wet, they've been out to go to the toilet, and they're a bit wet or whatever, and then they're on the floor, and they're re-wetting the chemicals that are on the floor, because sometimes even products that purport to be pet friendly, they're saying, yeah, but keep your dog out of here for half an hour or until it dries. Well, hang on a minute, what happens when he goes outside and it's raining? Or
Right.
where does he sweat from? You know, it's so they're re-wetting it. In fact, one of the we got a before and after picture with one of our stockers here in the UK. She went on holidays and her dad decided he was dog sitting and decided to clean the patio, the outside yard bit, kind of with bleach. And she showed me the pictures of the blisters on the dog's paws. Just
Oh, that's
yeah.
awful.
Yeah, that's gotta hurt. So there is a definite connection. So you've got what the dog's eating, you've got what the dog's exposed to. Remember, these cleaning products are chemicals designed to kill microbiome. That's their job. You're
Right.
spraying them around the place, you're breathing them in. Have a read of there's information out there that connects chemicals in the home with everything from child obesity, asthma, even fertility issues, females particularly, um, lung damage, obviously. And I don't mean from lung damage equating to smoking, not from the smoking, but from the chemicals of the cigarettes. So there's chemical lung damage that
Right.
equates to smoking.
Secondhand smoke, we
Yeah,
call
it's
it.
like secondhand smoke, but it's from the cleaning product. So all that is happening, and your dog is right there. Now, if you're breathing, I'm what am I? I'm an average size male, and I'm breathing probably 11, maybe 12,000 liters. Let me try and convert that into imperial metric. So 12 cubic meters of air. So that's each cubic meter is 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot. Mul yeah, that's a lot. So it's about 12 kilograms of air a day. Trying to think, what is that in pounds?
I
Multiply that
have
by
no
6.
idea. This is all you, man.
No, thanks. You're leaving me right. You're leaving me hanging. It's about 30 pounds. So you're breathing about 30 pounds in weight of air a day.
I've never
It's really,
thought of this. This is
yeah,
so fascinating.
yeah. But you think your little dog is there, and you know our cat sneezed just the other day. My daughter got some new perfume sprayed. 5 minutes later, and she loves the cat. The cat sneezed, and she's like, "Oh, look at that!" And I went, "Yeah, a bit of perfume." You know, it's just because it's in the air and they're breathing it. So if your dog is a fifth of your weight, could you say he's breathing a fifth of what you're breathing? That's about 6 pounds of air, let's say. How does that compare to the amount of food he eats in the same period of 24 hours?
Wow.
So if they're
That's
if he
putting it in perspective. That's an amazing analogy. I never thought of it like that.
so
Wow.
anything that's going into and remember, okay, there's people out there where you guys are, beautiful hillsides with pine trees and great great air and everything. But for most people, they're 90% of the time in a building.
Right.
So, and the building is clean, they're using cleaner products, and there's aftershaves, and there's God knows what. Okay. Just been, even the off gassing from, we were talking to a commercial company one time, and they were telling me about a new office they were having built in Shanghai, and she knew that the contractor had reneged on the specification for the furniture. And she knew this because of her air quality monitor in in Yorkshire in her office. Her air quality monitor started binging. I went, the day they brought the furniture in, and she went, is that the furniture we specified? Oh no, this would be okay. No. Okay. So this is what we call off-gassing, just a natural breakdown of the gels and resins in the furniture and carpet soil. So you put all of that in. Um, then for a lot of dogs, obviously the dogs and cats not of your people, would also be exposed to chemicals in their food, chemicals in had
The bowl,
pesticides.
the bowl,
Yeah,
the water, the
yeah,
food. I mean, anything and everything. So the
yeah.
mattress. My dog and I got very sick off a mattress, and it was supposed to be an organic mattress, but it's still off-gassed.
Sometimes with the organic stuff, because I know I won't mention his name because you know him, but a good friend of ours over here had an issue with carpet, and he was telling me he thinks what it was because it was a natural fiber. It would be therefore more susceptible to moth and so on, you know. So it's sprayed with something. So
Oh, that's so fascinating because you started off talking to us about like skin and mites and like all the debris that comes off of our bodies naturally, our natural body shedding, the dust mites, all of that.
mm,
Mattresses are dirty. Like you can't avoid if you're sleeping on your mattress every single day for years and years, there's this component that your mattresses are absorbing, like pounds and pounds of sweat, apparently.
yeah,
It's
we got, we,
disgusting, but it
we
is
got all that
life.
going on. Imagine if we didn't have the humble dust mite. Imagine we'd be up to here in dead skin cells, you know? Um, so you got the humble dust mite protecting, yeah, they're eating off of the human detritus,
I'm
basically, you know?
I'm allergic. I'm a little sensitive to dust mites.
Oh. Okay, so here's the thing. Um, on the BBC, there was a report saying that the people, and therefore I'm assuming dogs, who are allergic to dust mites, in 99, easy to remember number, in 99% of the cases, it wasn't a mite, it was the detritus of the mite poop, and the mite that say dead skin cells and so on, so the proteins. Now, no prizes for guessing who has a spray that will eat. Yeah. So the allergies, that's why we spray it onto the dog bedding. Same as your bedding. Just spray it
So I
on there.
can just buy your spray, spray my bed down,
Yeah.
and that will disintegrate or eat.
It'll eat the dust mite poop. It'll eat the dust mite, the skin cells. So those proteins off the, which is usually that's what usually is causing a bit of a reaction. So you can spray those. I tend as well leave the bedding unmade and with the windows open as well and ventilated. Remember my background being HVAC, so I'm ventilating it when the conditions are right. When the conditions are not right, I don't ventilate. But so plenty of light, natural daylight, covers back, spray with the probiotic spray, and then make the bed later in the day.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So
Um,
they,
Angel's online. Angel, do you want to unmute and ask your questions?
I can.
Yay.
I have a question about a dog. Well, actually, I've had a couple people inquire about consults recently, and all three dogs have had skin issues from day one. At one person got their dog at 12 weeks old, another was at 6 weeks old, and the other was, I think, at 14 weeks old. Don't quote me on that, but I mean, they were puppies. And two of them are 2 and one is 3.
mm,
And these are in different states, not any connection whatsoever.
mm,
I've,
Vaccinated, Angel?
of course, of course. One of them, the one that has went ahead with the consult. I'm working with her. Obviously changed the diet. She has been feeding fresh food though, so that's kind of mind-boggling. But she hasn't vaccinated in a year and a half. Did get pictures of the dog's eyes for us to go over in class. Um, I don't know. She hasn't really been using terrible laundry soap. I switched her over to just vinegar and water, which is what I use, and I have all my clients use. But my thing is, all three of these dogs have had issues since they were puppies. I'm like, okay, well, it has to be the microbiome because it doesn't make sense otherwise.
yeah, it's an interesting one, and it's like no two dogs are ever the same kind of thing. And
Mhm.
I remember having this with one client, and they said their dog was 7 years old, and the other dog was uh, 16 weeks, and different breed. And the new dog was having all the same problems as your dog. Now, this isn't the same as your client, but just anecdotal, interesting.
Yeah,
So
because she has another dog. Excuse me, if I do want to add. She has another dog, and he's perfectly fine. He
you're
came from
perfect.
another country though, and I was like, he was a street dog, and in the other countries, they feed all those street dogs fresh food. So he's probably got a microbiome solid as a house.
He's been eating God knows rancid
Yeah.
dead things and gotcha, yeah. And
Yeah.
his microbiome has been trained and strong and all of that.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? And we see that, considering that like people and the dogs will share like gut microbiome
Hmm.
and but we do see it with some of the two dogs in the same house, sometimes from the same litter, um, can be reacting differently.
Hmm.
It can be, it's almost like Sherlock Holmes. You start off with a list,
I
list
know.
of who did it, right? And then when you eradicate all the ones that could just not be, whoever you're left with, whatever the answer is, however crazy, it has to be at least taken seriously. So, yeah, you're right. Something affecting the microbiome. Maybe when the puppy was young, could it be
Hmm.
in the vaccines? I don't know, not my area. Could have been what even something like what they're cleaning with. Yeah, but you'd think that'd be gone by now. So,
Well, and I told her too. So she's an ER nurse. So of course they're classically trained just like traditional veterinarians, and she knows a little bit, and she's worked on a little bit of that where she's not using bleach and stuff. But she was still using some pretty harsh stuff that they use in kennels on her floor, and that just didn't make any sense to me. I said, you're not a rescue, you're not a kennel. Why are you using that on your floors? That doesn't make sense. I said, stop doing that.
yeah, stop doing that. So we would start off by we have a product called allergen free. So
Mhm.
it's you see the brand is called LUCAA. You can see it on here, right?
Okay.
And I'll share some information, but I would spray that directly onto the skin and the bedding twice
Hmm.
a day. And all we're doing, Angel, is we're putting the good microbiome on there.
Yeah.
And
Is it
that
Luca for the US? Is
yeah,
it
I mean
Provolone?
we
I'm gonna look it up while we're
we, we
chatting.
use we use Luca for the pet owner. There is Provolan, it's the same product, but aimed at the veterinary world. So the
Okay.
Provolan.
So tell us where to get this.
Um,
Luca is the product name.
yeah. Look at the problem. You, we'll give you our website for because I'm sure you have people in the UK. Over in the US, you mentioned VDI. They do the veterinary range. Then you've got Dr. Judy. We'll do the Luca range. And we have a couple of locals. There's um, Pitter Patter up in Wisconsin and Alexandra Tropic down in Florida. Um, yes, what's Alexandra Tropic's? What's her shop called?
Sounds
Italy.
so exotic.
Yeah, yeah. She's originally from Serbia. And so, but yeah, she's in Florida. You've got Wisconsin. You've got Dr. Judy's. You've got VDI, and there's a couple more coming on board as well. So watch this
Okay,
space.
great.
So for the UK people, just it's ingenious-probiotics.com,
Okay,
and lots of good information on there that you can look at. And then if you want to go on one of the US suppliers to actually get the product and do that, but feel free to jump on us and there's
so
just
we
like
can order directly from you.
you can.
It's a little tricky though. I've tried to do it before.
It's a bit tricky. One of the things that changed, it used to be that up to $800, you guys didn't have to pay any tariff. And now you do even for $1 you've got to pay if so it just makes a lot more sense to get it locally. But
Mhm.
feel free to come to us with questions and whatever. We'll do all of that. And then when it comes to like pulling the trigger, then hey, we can get you supplied in the US. The guys over there don't carry all of the cleaning products, so if there's something else you need, yeah, we can sort it out. But um, we can go to. go to the US suppliers just to make your life a
Easier.
bit easier. Yeah, it's getting easier. The past few months were difficult, but we've kind of found our way a little bit in terms of like understanding the new information that they want and how they want to present it and so on, just sort of go through customs, which is which is fine, absolutely.
Angel,
So
did that help you?
yeah, so just on it, that angel, just spray the allergen free on it on the dog. If you're gonna, we're not saying you have to shampoo, but if you do shampoo, use our shampoo. But if it's a dog that you don't normally shampoo, then fine. Don't. We're not saying you got to start, but just spray it on and brush it through the coat. If it's a long hair coat, you may need to brush it through or just rub backwards. But you want to get it onto the skin.
Mhm.
I like to just I like people using their hands. You put it onto the coat and then just rub it through because that's nice for everybody. Just a bit of contact but you want to get it onto the skin, especially if it's underneath here. Is that what you're seeing it, Angel? Kind of under in the
On the
belly and
folds?
He, and she said this is always where he gets it. It is in the growing area where the leg fold is on one side, and there's a spot on the front arm down close to the paw. I guess you'd say shin area. She said he did have because I asked the first thing that I always ask is, did have you ran a culture with your vet? Because we kind of need to know what we're working with because there's
yeah.
so many different things and not everything. And some things are going to make something worse. Like if you're trying to, sometimes if you're trying to use certain ingredients or certain plant matter to work on yeast and you're not working with yeast, you can make the bacteria worse. So
Right, but it definitely sounds like it's in the moisture-rich areas.
oh, it's absolutely. He's damp. Working on his energetics because he is damp that way as well. But it is damp. She says it smells. She's not really good with explaining. I mean,
Did
the
did did you get that culture
smell,
done?
yeast and bacteria. There's a distinct smell, but I don't think she knows about it.
Yeah. Did they manage to get
No.
some kind of culture done? Okay.
She said they got a culture down of his ear because he had supposedly had an ear infection or yeast in his ear, but she didn't do one on the skin.
And was it one ear or both ears?
It was both ears at that point. And then the other day during our phone consult, he started messing with one ear, and she said he had been messing with that ear for about 3 days.
So there's a rule of this is very much just a rule of thumb, but it comes from a good friend vet, and it kind of stood us in good stead. If it's one ear, it's even if it's one ear at a time,
Yeah.
it, it's more likely to be bacterial.
Hmm.
If it's both ears, could be yeast.
Yeah.
Could be bacterial, it could be yeast. So
90%. I know 90%. I know Dr. Connor Brady says 90% of the time, if it's both ears, it's yeast.
there you go. There you go. So what you got there so if it's yeast, then you've got Connor's proprithium.
Yeah. Well, we can't get
And
anything from Connor right now.
oh yeah.
He said some stuff just passed through customs. I'm waiting to order it from my store. But he said some things have just finally passed through customs, but it hasn't made Dr. Judy's website yet. So hopefully she
I,
gets it this week.
I think it's on its way. I
Yeah.
think it's on its way.
But it
We've
passed
all,
this week. It made
yeah.
it through.
It's been difficult. It's a bit easier for us to be honest with you because we don't have any animal-based product in the product. I
Yeah.
think that makes it we're not food.
Right.
Uh, we have had shipments rejected because we didn't have food documentation and we couldn't explain. But if we fill out food documentation, it'll be fraud
Right.
because we're not.
It's
So,
not food.
but I think it
But
is
they
settling
think
down. I think
that all probiotics are edible probiotics, so they put it in the food category. Is that
yeah,
what happened?
sometimes you're dealing with somebody who's mad busy. Take one look, put a tick onto the next one.
Yeah,
It's
they
a bit
just
like
write probiotic down and then they
yeah,
don't think any
yeah.
further. That's where that
So
comes.
it would be if you put the probiotic into the ear, you just spray it in, get it right into the you can't see what I'm putting my finger, but into the canal. Just do that a couple of times a day. it won't hurt.
Oh no,
It's
I can
going,
see.
but it may not. If that's strong yeast, then yeah, it it's not going to be the be all end all. So what we tend to when people are borderline and they don't know is it yeast, is it not, and they haven't had the right information from the vet or whatever, we say, look, try it, try the product, and then if you're not seeing good improvements, put it in the cupboard. You're going to need it later.
Yeah,
So it becomes
I know.
either really because we're back to what I don't know if you caught the beginning of the conversation about ears, where the dogs would have something would wipe out the microbiome, or something would cause inflammation in the ear canal, food allergy, environmental allergy, whatever. And that would then set off a trigger of this repeat infection because of the antibiotics. So yeah, so that's why the probiotic will get in. So it's in the category, Angel, of it's worth a try. Um, it's
You said,
interesting that
I mean,
the skin
uh,
issues are so localized as well on the animal. But again, definitely worth a try. And at least then that you're able to say, well, we put the probiotics on there. That didn't really help. Therefore, it must be, it must be yeast X, Y, and Z. But if she's got the if she's got the
well,
food
I
under control,
actually am a product maker as well. So I did send her some of my yeast spray.
okay.
Um,
And
but she can definitely try this too. I mean, it's not going to hurt. It's $27. It's not like it's going to break the bank.
Yeah, yeah,
and
exactly so. And
Angel, I've seen dogs with parasites, so depends on the irises, right?
I
But I've
know.
seen,
And you and I both agree that most of the dogs have parasites, just like most of us do. So,
yeah,
hey,
I've had dogs with reoccurring infections that
yeah,
cleared up with
yeah,
antiparasitic.
yeah. Well, I wanted that's another thing that I was gonna. I know that we need to do that, but we literally just started working together. I've gotten her diet formulated and all of that stuff just now, over the weekend. So it hasn't been a long process just yet.
Angel, if you're thinking of like what we call a two-pronged approach with your anti-yeast product, if you
Uh-huh.
think of like the relay runners in the Olympics, so you start with your product, and just before you finish with your product, you start with the probiotic, so there's no gap between. It's
I
like
love it. I didn't even know that this live was going on today, and I love it because I have been researching probiotics to put in my stuff because I know that it's needed. You need probiotics on the skin. It's killed off with these people taking their dogs to the groomers all the time, and
yeah, yeah, the antibacterial shampoos and so on, and
oh,
uh, don't get me started about ear plucking and so on. Yeah,
yeah, there's a place for them sometimes, just like there's a place for antibiotics sometimes, but
yeah, yeah.
not
No,
all.
absolutely. I think you'd probably find it easier, Angel, as well, rather than try and get the probiotics into your product because there's, when it comes to stabilization and so on, it's tricky and to get that right. Just think of it in a kind of like a bundle, two products. There you
I
go. Use
just
product A and then use product B, and that's your.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually a product formulator, so it's not just some Yahoo, Yahoo, whatever you want to call it, on the internet making products. I'm a brand, but
Sure.
um, I'm all about whoever's doing it first and doing it great. I don't need to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they already did all the
Yeah.
research and the
All work,
science.
do any of it. So I'm so glad I saw this today because this makes it. I'm like, yay! I just looked at the ingredients and yeah, it's perfect.
Right. But,
So,
well,
Joe, can I ask you about the horse community?
yeah.
Because we have a lot of horse people here. So you have a barn cleaner, right?
Yes, well, we've amalgamated the cleaning products, so we simply call it. Uh, sorry, I'm laughing because we reduced the number of SKUs, the number of different products, and then we go, oh, we got this other one. So- but we've got a what we call universal. So we used to have a product for cleaning in around the kennel, a product for cleaning in around the stable, a product for cleaning the home, a product for cleaning the gym, product for cleaning the commercial environment, the office. Look, they're all pretty much the same. So we've kind of like got them all so just something called universal.
Okay.
Um, there's a lot of over here in the UK, people use something called Jay's fluid. Uh, shouldn't be mentioned brands, but anything we can do to reduce the chemicals that are flowing down the drains and into our rivers, as well as actually being used, um, that's that's very important to us. With the horses, yeah, I remember very early on back in 2018, there was a case over in Belgium where the horse was about to be put down, and for one last thing they tried was just get rid of the cleaning product and use something else because this horse had all kinds of problems going on. And literally by just taking the cleaning product away and replacing it with basically our probiotic one, the horse's chemical exposure was reduced, and lo and behold, things cleared up. Now, if you're thinking that that's kind of a difficult one to a difficult dot to join, back before the company was actually formed properly, when we were still kind of kicking around and trying things, on a poultry farm, they did the same thing. So chicken sheds, changing from chemical-based cleaners to our probiotic cleaners, what they found was the bird mortality dropped, the bird weight increased, and the amount of antibiotics that was administered to the birds dropped.
Well, I'm sure the egg quality was better or the meat quality. Like, who wants to eat meat? And maybe this is part of Angel's dog's problem is you're eating meat that's been sprayed with antibiotics in its environment.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
it's right, it's sourced, what the chicken is fed and whatever. But this was just talking about changing the cleaning products in the. So when you take that and apply it to a horse, and your industry, your equine side of things is probably very like ours, that you have like your $1 million race horses, and then you've got your pets and
Mhm.
everything between. None of them are cheap, right?
Right.
So we're working on a very slow project to actually infuse probiotics into the horse bedding, into the stable bedding. So the protocol there was, you imagine taking out the dirty bedding, cleaning the stable with what we just call universal.
Right.
Um, and it's a concentrate, so it's environmentally friendly, just shipping costs and so pretty good. And then when you put the bedding back in, we'd have the probiotics in it, and then we'd also have a top-up spray. So we're trying to affect the microbiome on which the horse is, is standing, and particularly with race horses or the horses that spend a lot of time indoors. Here it's seasonal, you know. In the summer they could be out all the time. In the winter, not so much, you know. They're indoors. So we're trying to affect and the problems that the horses were getting in certain areas connected to the biome of the bedding. So we're able to change what you're cleaning with. We're able to sort of affect then what you put onto the horse for sweet itch. We get mud fever. You probably don't get that so much, but for sweet itch it would be the allergen free. For mud fever it would be the dermocare, which because you got sores now in the lower limbs. Um,
My
and
horses in the winter get red oak mites biting them.
wow, okay.
Yeah. So the oaks tend to have like maybe a fungus, and it only hits the minute the weather gets really cold, the mites are freezing and they hop on the horses and bite the heck out of them.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And they
So
like burrow in their manes.
yeah. So if you take that into and bear in mind that if you think of Angel's dog or client's dog at the same time, we had one um, where it was like a dermatitis, but it was on the lower back, so the back of the dog's spine. But look, so more likely a reaction to insects. So we got really good results there. Like I think we would with the horse, we're not stopping the mite. But what we're doing is we're having different bacteria getting into the perforations of the skin made by the mite.
So you're healing the inflammatory
Yeah.
response to it.
Yeah. Yeah, we're helping with that. Obviously, if there's something directly from the mite that's going in, that's a different. But if we're getting good bacteria into those skin perforations, then we were finding that was helping with uh, this kind of mite-borne dermatitis. But the problem that you've got is that the mites are still there and they're biting tomorrow and they're biting tomorrow. Um, so
So
that
as
is
long as the weather's warm, they're great. If I turn them out in cooler weather and the sun goes down and I haven't brought them in yet, they're running for the gate. They're like, take me in now because
and it's
I'm
it's all
getting bit.
over, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we wouldn't be a flea repellent or anything like that, but we'd help with we would consider that sweet itch, the effect on the skin after the bites. So we would help, but we're not getting to the root cause in that particular case.
And rain rot. We have rain rot here in the US, which is horses like sweating under their blankets or getting muddy and moisture, and it just rips the top coat off
Hmm.
and
Is
causes
it actually,
inflammation.
is it the wetness or is it what's in the moisture?
Good question. It could be both.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, it
So it's
could
like,
be the combo of the two things being reactive, but also our shavings are really I worry about horse shavings because I know they have a smell to it. When I open that bag, A, they're packaged in plastic, and then B, they smell chemical. Like maybe
hmm.
they got sprayed with some fire repellent or something, but they don't smell like pine.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I know with certain cat litter, I'm going to go out of my comfort zone here and talk about something that I really shouldn't. But with cat litter, the resin of the tree, when you talk about like wood pellets, the resin, the natural resin isn't great for the cats. So to get rid of that, they have to treat the the pellets. I think they do it at high temperature. But there may be some part of the process with the shavings, possibly. Um, we we can supply a spray, and basically you're just spraying it on top of, and you'd be leaving the spray in the stable for whoever's like if it's the stable hand or it's the pet the horse pet owner or whatever, just to be basically topping up that microbiome continually. Helping
So
with
you
the
would clean your floors. So you would, for me, I would like pressure sprayer the floors under the mats, all of that, and then do the universal on top to dry, and then the
yeah.
shavings, and then a potential anti. So I bet the shavings is a preservative, an anti-mold preservative, because they don't. Those shavings sometimes come out kind of moist, but they're not molded. So yeah, I bet that's what it is.
It's
And they
possible.
don't they don't have to write it on the bag
Yeah.
by law. They don't need to claim that. So maybe doing a probiotic on top of that would reduce the smell because the smell is toxic alone.
It may. When we talk about smell in a stable, we tend to think about the urine and the effects of the ammonia and so on, and trying to combat that with the probiotics. Um, it would really depend on if that shaving has a chemical on it, then we may not. It depends on whether we can break the chemical down or not.
Yeah, and
Um,
eventually it airs out, but it
mm,
creeps me out. Like it just I feel like it's one more thing to insult my horses' bodies. And all my animals have been given to me and they all came with pre-existing issues.
okay.
So I'm kind of like the land of the lost toys. And
Okay.
so having a healthy environment for them is essential.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, to recover, to remove their chemical exposure as well as exposure to anything else that could be damaging them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question about two of the products.
Go ahead, Angel.
The Dermocare
Hmm.
and the allergen free is the only difference. The Dermocare says it has citric acid for pH balancing, and the allergen does not. Is that the only difference?
No, the difference is b- the critical difference really is the combination, the cocktail, shall I say, of probiotics in there. And
They're
it,
different.
yeah, so
Because
the
a class one USA probiotic blend.
they're all class one.
Okay, so they okay.
Yeah, but all the products, even the cleaner products, are all class one. Um, but it's within that. Uh, so the best way I can describe it is that if you have like the 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 cocktail of the probiotics for the ear care, although that's an extension of the skin, would be
Hmm.
different than the one for the skin because there's different temperature, different conditions. So
Right.
different, and this is the testing that you're trying to find the right cocktails, right combinations and permutations and combinations and ratios
Hmm.
that work better in the teeth or in the ears or on the skin. So with the dermocare, the rule of thumb would be when the skin is broken,
Hmm.
dermocare. When the skin's not broken, allergen free. So your dermatitis and so on, your unknown itchy thing, would be the allergen free, or just out and out allergens for humans as well, because we do that allergen free. That's the first product we ever used. That's the one we used to put in the HVAC systems for humans. To
Okay.
make people have their own sensitivities to bioallergens.
Right.
But the dermocare for like post-wound recovery, hot spots, cuts, anything where the skin has been broken. If sometimes there's an ear issue and the dog is scratching so much that it's now breaking the skin.
Hmm.
The dermocare is good for if it's just scratching, like your dog, for example. If it was scratching underneath here, I'd use a dermocare. And to be honest with you, there's actually more going on there than we know. We get such good results that think, okay, there's something else. This is really interesting because Mother Nature is so wonderful.
I
We're
know.
getting better results than we even we thought about what's going on there. So,
Well, I prefer for her. I asked because I would prefer that she order the dermocare, so I wanted to make sure that it can be used in place of the allergen.
yes, yes, definitely. So you could use the dermocare. It sounds like a dermocare is more applicable for this particular lady, this
Mm.
particular pet guardian. Yeah.
Well, what about for future clients though? Would it be could you use the dermo care in place of the allergen free? I guess is essentially what I'm asking.
You could,
Okay.
but they're the same price, and the allergen free is three times bigger.
Yeah, it's
So
those in
we
the other 100 mil, but you have fragrance oil and the allergen free. And I
the
get my clients away from those.
what we have in there is a point 0.1% aloe
Hmm.
vera.
Yeah, aloe vera scent. It says aloe
Yeah,
scent
yeah,
perfume.
aloe vera. Because we put something in there to affect the scent
Hmm.
legally in the European Union, that has to be classified as a perfume. So sometimes you get people say, "Hang on, how come you got per?" No, it's not perfume in the traditional sense of we know it. It's just something that affects the scent. Therefore, we have to call it a perfume. But it's 0.1% aloe vera, mostly
Joe,
because
wait, let's clarify this for Angel and myself. Is when you say aloe scent, it's not an artificial aloe scent. It's actually aloe.
Is
yeah,
it aloe juice?
I'd have to check that, Angel. But it's yeah, I'd have to check
Because in
exactly.
the US, we'll use words like scent or
Perfume.
natural something like nature's miracle. My dog got sprayed by a skunk. I got some skunk smell on my clothes. I went out and bought Nature's Miracle. There's nothing natural about that. Like it smelled like Avon. And
Mm.
so I was just like, where's nature? There's no miracle here. So wording and labeling in the US, I think, is a lot more tricky and dishonest, maybe, or leading the consumer astray than like aloe scent might actually be
Yeah, we tend to have the opposite issue. Like say, because we actually we'll put perfume on there or parfum on there, when actually it's just 0.1% aloe, you know. But so rather than trying to hide it, our guys tend to be just, it's almost like they never, ever, ever, ever want anybody to find something that's in there that wasn't declared. It's like a positive discrimination kind of thing, you know. And sometimes that causes us a problem. But I got them to make me up some in the lab one time, some of the allergen free without the aloe in it, and it smells. They said, "Look, this is the smell of the probiotics, and it smells like a lab." I said, "That's so." I didn't like it, so I said, "Okay, put the aloe back in." Yeah,
Yeah, and if it's real aloe juice, it's beneficial.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. I just wanted to make sure because I obviously, if this works, I will continue to have my clients purchase it, but I won't use something that has fragrance oil in it.
Well, we just have to say that, Angel. We're always going to sort of like err on the side of caution.
Uh-huh.
It's easier to sort of bring people back in and go, no, no, it's not that, it's this, rather than have to ever explain. So sometimes we be too open with it, and it causes problems. It causes confusion, should I say?
Is
We get
Full disclosure is much better because you're dealing with sensitive pets, Joe. So the
yeah.
people that are your demographic are people in need.
absolutely. So is there
Oh,
a
oh,
way for you
oh.
I can see if it's aloe juice or if it's the inner leaf, or should I
I
email? Should I just send an email?
oh, I can check that through. I'll let Poppy know. How's that? Is that okay, Pop?
Perfect.
Yeah, and Joe, just FYI, aloe leaf has latex, so if there's a latex allergy, I could see where aloe leaf would be a problem
Mhm.
versus aloe gel or juice.
Yeah.
We had one time we had a conversation with someone who had like an extreme latex um allergy, and I mean like anaphylactic. Um, yeah, that for, for one reason, and we just said, you know what, just avoid it. But you're talking about one person in 8 years with that, so it's a very very rare thing. But we sell thousands of the aloe, sorry, the allergen free a year. So, uh, we're anything but blasé. But I say, yeah, look, most of the dogs we deal with, they're only coming to us because they have a problem.
Right.
I did put a picture in the comments. I'm not sure if I know Poppy can see it, but I'm not sure if you can of his um
That looks so painful.
I know. And it's just within a couple days I've gotten it better, but it's still red, just not in that area now.
Can you send it on to me, Poppy, sometime? I'd love to see that.
Yeah, can you see it in the chat?
Like, hmm,
Hit your
maybe if I,
chat
maybe if I
button.
look in the chat, that would help. Okay.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. Yes, there's a chat. Yeah. Yeah, just opening it up now.
And Joe, if you want to just briefly tell us your menu of products, just so the viewers on Facebook know what you have, that would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Brilliant. Um, so on that one, Angel, yes, I'd start with Dermocare just because it looks like there's a couple of little scratchy kind of cuts on there. Um, and you can't go wrong with that.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, and we did a whole presentation and I got all the but we just chatted. We didn't need presentation, we didn't need it, but if you like,
No,
I
I
can
can always talk. I can talk
love
forever.
it. I just love it. It's like someone says, "Do you want to do a talk?" What, me about my favorite thing to my favorite kinds of people? Yeah.
Well,
Right
I'm
I
just
do
looking for
appreciate your
the
time. I just wanted to tell you thank you.
oh, hey, no need for that. We just love it. We just love it. We love what we do. Um, funny, I was talking to Peter Tobias there when in Orlando, and he said, "Would you ever retire?" And I genuinely said, "From what?" And I said, I just love this. This is just great." Uh, Poppy, do you mind if I try and share my screen? Would that be okay?
Yeah, go ahead. That would be great because we want to know what your offerings are um, for your viewers, just so
Okay.
they get a understanding of your catalog.
Okay. And I'm going to be a little bit fumbly here because I want to try and find the right um, the right page to open, but if not, I'll do a different thing because I got this presentation and all of these. I don't know if you can see all of those different pages. No, you can't. Hopefully you
Not
can.
yet. No, you're not
Good,
sharing yet.
good. Because my oh, here we go. Over the shoulder. How about we do that?
Okay. So you'll hit the green share button. Perfect. You know.
Do you see it now?
It's loading.
Hey, right. Okay. So I'm going to fly through it. But hey, look at this. I like that, huh?
Yeah, that's us. I love that photo of us.
And somebody took this one of me to put this dog's head on
Dog
it. And I
face on there at Dr.
thought,
Judy's. That's hilarious.
that's it. That was funny. Okay, so I'm gonna fly. So bear in mind, I had 90, something like 95 of these slides, and I thought we're not going to use all of those because there's so many things to talk about, and we've talked
That's a
about
massive slide deck.
it. It really is. I mean, and some of them, I like these ones because these are like various different articles talking about chemicals, and here we go. Uh, epidemic in children, home biome direct, all that kind of stuff. Microbiome linked to slowing HIV progression. You know, how important is the microbiome and pet skin allergies linked to indoor air quality. So this one, for example, was from I think Seoul University. Direct link between atopic dermatitis, canine atopic dermatitis, and indoor air quality. So Angel, that's one for you. The direct link proven bad indoor air quality linked to higher cases of dermatitis. Okay,
Oh,
And
absolutely,
that's
I agree.
for
yeah, and
dogs.
that's for one of mine too.
Yeah. So I'm going to fly through, but the dental one is my biggest one because uh, dental is connected with everything. You know, we floss for our heart, don't we? So it's the same as a dog, brain, heart, stomach conditions from poor dental health. And now people are linking dental health with Alzheimer's and all kinds of things. This one I love. This poor little fella, Quest. You're gonna love this puppy. I met him. We helped him not have all his teeth taken out because he's got an autoimmune disease, and he came up to me at an exhibition. The first time I met him, his owner brought it up, and I bent down, and he just nuzzled in between my rib cage and my elbow. And I just had this moment where the rest of the world didn't exist for about 60 seconds. I just had a little moment. It was just,
And you're still a cat person, Joe. What's up
I,
with that?
well, we got the second cat, the girl cat's a bit skittish. So, as soon as if we introduce any kind of dog here, she'll go nuts. But it's worse than that, Poppy. It's worse than that, right? These are my kids' pets. That
Oh, I see. So you have no say over it.
I've got no say except the cleaning up, the feeding, all that kind of stuff, you know,
Spraying the
and
teeth.
cleaning the teeth and all of that. But no, they're great. The girl cat comes and she'll sit with me when we're watching TV. She loves a bit of attention. Um, and the boy cat, he'll come whenever he's hungry. He'll come and find me. Otherwise, so we do the dental for the teeth, obviously, just change the whole microbiome, the allergen free, changing the microbiome of the outside, and the home. And sometimes, and again, Angel, look, this one, I put this on there to remind me to say, look, sometimes it doesn't work straight away. And with this one, we'd given up. We'd given up on this dog and said, look, we've nothing we can do. Keep using it, not doing any harm. And then we got a message saying, hey, it's great. Um, this is the one I mentioned as well. That one, it looks a little bit more like a dermatitis. See the top of the dog's back, or the bottom of the dog's back, should I say? Like mite related. This is dermacare on hot spots. But so anyway, there's loads. I don't like going through. You know, this one does this one does that. But skin, ear, and teeth. That's our biggest area. And lots of case studies, and you'll find a lot of these on the website. Um, that you can just fill your boots up. Eye care. For the eye care, don't spray it in the eye. Nobody's going to like that. Just onto something like an eye makeup remover pad and wipe around um, and down the tear stain. But of course, your people's pets won't have tear stains because they'll be eating correctly. Um, that's the dermal care for whenever the skin is broken. And again, TPL surgeries, cat on cat bites, dog on dog bites. This one, which would have scared the hell out of me if they'd have sent me the before picture. But luckily for me, they only sent me the before picture when they had the after picture. That was great. And we're talking about the mud fever there, Poppy. So
Scratches. We call it scratches.
really, yeah. So we're developing a paste we can put on, so it would act like a barrier. And it was originally developed for the frog, so we could compact it in there. So the dermal care in a paste form.
Oh,
Uh,
what fun. I'm
yeah,
excited about that.
not ready to release yet, but yeah. And shampoos. The bigger bottle's got a picture of a horse on it. The little bottle's got a picture of a cat as well because some people want to wash their cats. I'm not washing my cat. He's not going to thank me. Um, and
You
the
need
coat
a
care.
you need a dry bath for your cat.
Enjoyable. Well, if I need to, you see that cold care, it's kind of like a dry shampoo because it's got omegas and fatty acids and the probiotics, of course. So they all get absorbed by the fatty acids and the omegas getting absorbed by the skin, getting and the coat. Um, but this I like as well. So we talk about the whole thing, the environment in which the pet is living, and food, obviously big one, but also personal medicine. How is the owner? How is the pet guardian? What are their ailments? How is the
Right.
sentient being picking up on it? And we had, it reminds you, one client, I was about to say earlier for Angel, but this lady had an 8-year-old and a 12-week-old, both diagnosed with the same skin problem. And I'm racking my brains, and then she says, "Look, but when I got my skin problem diagnosis," and I'm like, "Whoa, hang on a minute, the dog's gonna be grand. Let's talk about you." So this is one of those full on from the get-go conversations. So just jumping straight in, forgetting about niceties. And I'm telling this woman she needs wine. She needs a holiday. She hasn't had a holiday for 15 years. She's stressed out, and the dogs are just, they're so sentient, the cats would care less, but the dogs, they're involved, right? They're right there. So if you, I said to her, her dog needs her to have a
So
holiday.
I have to ask, did it get better with wine and a holiday?
She never called back, so that's what happens when people get better. They just forget and they move on. So I'd like to think so. At least she would have felt a bit better, you
Yeah.
know. So, but it's this whole situation. You hear stories of pets with skin issues during their owners having a divorce or all this kind of stuff. Yeah, so, and also the outdoor environment's really important. Um, there's a study over here. I'm not even sure if I should mention it. There was somebody on social media saying they would never raw feed a dog because, and it was to do with a study from one of the universities here. And the study was finding more resistant bacteria in the feces of raw fed dogs than non-raw fed dogs. And I thought, well, that doesn't sound right to me. And I posed a question about, well, if sensible raw feeding people might be cleaning more. And I know that the cleaning more is going to have AMR, it's going to have antimicrobial resistance results. So what they found in this study, when I drilled down, I sat down and actually read the study, they were finding that the rural population dogs, raw fed dogs, their resistant bacteria were more akin to farming. The urban raw fed dogs, their resistant bacteria were more akin to humans. So ergo, it's not the food because the raw food manufacturer doesn't sort of say I'm not selling to dogs in a town or whatever. So that's not the common factor. But if you create a vacuum, if you wipe out the microbiome, then you don't know what's coming. Again, I'm talking about the antibacterial cleaning. What's coming in? Well, what's coming in is from the locale, and you're killing its competition. You're thinning the herd effectively for the bacteria by it's only the strong ones are going to become resistant to the cleaner products. So no wonder the dogs are having resistant bacteria from their environment in their poop. So look at what the dog's breathing in out on the walk and so on. So all of these things I think can show up in anxiety. I mean, dogs tend not to worry as such, but they do get anxious, don't they? And I'm going to just show you this one because I love this. I love the story behind this. I've got a wonderful nephew who's a zoologist, and he says we were sitting having lunch in Cornwall, right by the beach. And he says, Joe, what's all this probiotics about? And this was just after COVID, and every single outdoor eating bench had one of these things on it. Completely unnecessary. And it says, do not allow pets, especially cats, to walk on treated surfaces until they are dry, or to lick surfaces that have been sprayed or wiped with this product. So do you want to tell me I'm going to train my cat not to lick, you know?
Right.
Harmful to aquatic with long-lasting effects. Most cleaning products are going to say that because they are. Um, so this is, I just picked it up and I said, this is what we're about. And he had a kind of, you know, epiphany with that, which was great. Okay. And this one is your own study in the States. More chemicals in the blood and urine of the pets compared to the owners. So listen, that's us very, very briefly. Um, I like the analogy of having the protective army. So instead of wiping out the microbiome, be it of the ear, be it of the kitchen floor, be it of the dog skin, we actually put a defensive mechanism in there. So if you wash your dog with our probiotic shampoo and you test for probiotics 2 days later, they're going to be still on there doing their job. A couple of days after that, they should be gone because they're on a cycle. They're not going to like take over the microbiome. They're just going to do their thing and then designed to chosen specifically to fade away properly. So I'm going to stop sharing. Is that enough on that, Poppy?
Yeah, no, that's great. I have this massive sun flare coming through.
Yay!
I know the sun feels so good. I just want to go to sleep.
Well, you're just
So,
bragging.
oh, I am. I am.
Darkness. The depths of winter here in the UK, darkness. It's yeah, no, I'm only jealous. But
We have less indoor air pollution when the sun's out. That's for sure. I can open the windows.
that's the thing. That's it. When we explain to people about the dog's environment, and we see a connection with sometimes with allergies worse in the autumn or the fall as you call it. It's getting cold. People are turning the heating on and they're closing the windows. Okay, it's not like a dog sitting in a car with the windows up in a hot day, but the analogy is there. They're in a box. It's sealed. They're trapped in whatever chemicals, and that's just natural because we don't want to open the windows when it's 32 degrees Fahrenheit outside. You know.
Yeah, and I tend to get more asthma once everything closes up. So I know there's something irritating me in my household, and I'm very sensitive to molds and funguses, things like that. So I know I dread winter. I dread it. So
Mhm.
this is a better way to do winter.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in the bedrooms, even in the winter, close the door, open the windows, pull the bedding back. It doesn't look neat, it doesn't look tidy, but it's more hygienic, more healthy for you,
Good
hopefully.
to know. Yeah,
Mm.
my dog would love that anyway.
Yeah,
Right
yeah.
on. Joe, say your website again and any other contact info, how people can get a hold of you.
Okay, so if you go to all the W's dot ingenious-probiotics.com.
Okay.
So any questions that come on there where people post about their clients' animals or their own animals, we'll find our way onto my desk at some point, and we answer everything.
How
And
do we
then
know when your paste, your probiotic paste is done, your wound paste?
we will be shouting about it. We will
Okay.
shout from the rooftops because there's this deficit section. I think for especially I've got to be careful I say because we're not a medicine and so but when you've got a wider cut, you want to know that the animals you want to get that paste in there because A, you can see it that you've covered it, um, and B, it acts as a barrier. But yeah, we're really, really looking forward to that.
I'm excited about that. I can't wait. I love how you guys are like reinventing holistic pet care, and that's so exciting. Joe, thank you for your time today.
Just absolutely loved it. Thanks, Angel, for all the questions as well. And great to see you again, Poppy.
Likewise. Are you going to be in the US anytime?
I don't know. I was there a couple of times this year, last year. So I just got to see how things fall. I think we're in Belgium next week. Yeah, next
That
week.
sounds fun. Well, maybe I
weekend.
get to come to the UK this year. That'd be
Hey,
awesome.
oh, that'd be awesome.
I've never been. It's a bucket list item for me.
Really, really. Okay. Well, listen, if you come over and we'll have dinner with my vet friend, Richard Doyle. So I'll make sure he's around. You're just gonna love swapping stories. You're gonna love
I would
him.
love that. I would
Yeah.
totally love that. And I
Because
have
other
family in the
people,
UK.
we got plenty of good people over here, lots of really good. The whole holistic pet care, natural pet care world here is really strong, and they got some like absolutely all. Well, Connor, so
Yeah.
Nick and Brendan and all those guys. It's yeah, brilliant, brilliant.
Well, maybe you guys for the Holistic Animal Insights membership, we should take a membership like voyage to the UK. Wouldn't that be fun? Angel, I'm
Ooh.
sure you'd be game.
You know I'd be game.
Yeah.
Um, hey, listen, I'll warn the pubs to get stocked up, and you come on over. So, yeah.
Yeah. Time to get my passport renewed. So, yep. Thank you so much. This was really amazing. I'm personally excited about this. And do you use the soap on your body?
Do I use soap on my body? I tell you what I use. I use the dog shampoo.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, use dog shampoo. That's my go-to. I love the fact that it's working on me. You know, even when you're cleaning your feet and all that. I love what it's doing, and I know what's this because we're closely connected with the environment. What's disappearing down the plug hole, that's where the ocean starts.
Yeah.
So the poisoning that's going on is I won't even go there. That's a whole other thing. But knowing that whatever I clean my toilet with, whatever I clean myself with, whatever I have a dirty bucket of used floor cleaning thing water, and I'm chuck all of it. It's actually helping in the wastewater system because the probiotics are still doing their thing to a certain degree. So we're slightly positive for the environment, not just environmentally
Yeah.
neutral, environmentally friendly.
Right.
So
And I have a
yeah,
septic, so that would also the leaching out into the property and all of
yeah.
it's just going to
Yeah.
be beneficial.
We actually have a product directly for putting into the septic tanks, and it would reduce. We reckon it'll reduce by half the amount of times you would empty it. I know it could be quite a long time, but so that works. Yeah, that works really really well. But that's what I use. Our hand soap has been redesigned at the minute, and typically that these things you run out of the old version before the new version is ready, which is a bit annoying. Same with the dish soap, but I just use the Luca pet shampoo as my shower gel. And no
And
jokes
well, I
about
didn't
my
even think about a dish soap, so I'm kind of excited about that. That's cool.
I just use the I need the cleaners, and when I'm cleaning my cat's bowls, spraying them with the probiotic cleaner, letting them sit for a while, and then cleaning them out. So again, they're not being exposed to chemicals, they're not absorbing chemicals while they're eating, and the probiotics do a much better job,
That's
so
amazing. I'm so glad you brought that up at the very last moment because I think it's really valuable. People don't realize cleaning your cat bowl with Dawn is not okay.
it goes back to my point about that study showing an increased amount of resistant bacteria in the poop of the raw fed dog. It
Right.
has to be from cleaning. So you're using the chemicals around the pet more around the raw. So you're trying to look after your dog's microbiome by spending more money and your energy and your effort, and you're looking in and you're reading, and then you might be spraying something that's specifically made to kill microbiome. That's what it
Right.
does. That's what the antibacterial stuff does. It kills bacteria. The
Yeah.
name's right. 99% of all known, dead, whatever crap. So that's been shown not to work. It's shown Mother Nature just gets up, over it, under it, round it. Um, but we just use Mother Nature herself, and she does a fantastic job. Thank you very much.
Yay. Good job, Joe. Thank you. Have a
You're
great
very
week.